Kadosh, Boker or Masechet Nedarim Daf Pe Amud Aleph, says the Gemara. The Ela de Amra, that which we said in the Gemara. So here we're talking about that if a woman came and she said, Kunam perot aolam alayim, if she's going to take a shower, lama la hafara, she's going to bathe herself. Why does she need to do hafara? Lo tirchatz v'la litasran. Right? She shouldn't take a shower and then she won't become prohibited to perot aolam. Right? And furthermore, Behalem Rabbi Yosef and Elu Nidre. Rabbi Yosef says this is not the gufa neder, right? Which is the yisur of the perot. For sure is an inui nefesh. So dilma rachza, maybe she's going to take bathe herself. Itasru perot alamala. So says the Gemara. Now we're on Pe Amud Aleph on the top, 88:1. Vela de Amra, but rather she said, Kunam anat rechitza alay leolam. That kunam anat rechitza is on her. Im erchatz, if she's going to take a shower once. Meaning that the first time that she bathes herself, right, she becomes prohibited. Umishum hachi, and because of this, mefella, he could do a farah nedarim de'echitavi, because now what's she going to do? Tirchatz, if she's going to bathe herself, mitasra hanat rechitzala, so then she's never allowed to take a bathe herself. Velo tirchatz, and she's not going to take a shower once. Ila nivula, it's disgusting. Rabbi Yosef says, if shad la rachza ul nivulu chashinan. Maybe that meant she won't take a shower, she won't bathe herself. But we're not going to suspect to the nivul of her body. But according to him, even if you don't bathe yourself at all, it's not considered a tsa'ar that has inui hanefesh. Okay, that is the shita of Rabbi Yosef. Ihachi, if so, litni hachi. So why don't we just learn the other way around? What does it mean the other way around? Yeah, he comes and he says like this. He says, if so, why don't we learn it? That, right? He comes and he says like this. He says, why don't we learn it? Right? He says, so we should learn like this. Rabbi Yosef says, this condition of not taking a shower, of not bathing, is not considered an inui nefesh. Right? Why? Because it's only a tonight, it's not the neder in itself. Ella, but rather the Amra that she said, Hanat rechitza alay leolam imer chatzayom. If she bathes herself today, she'll never be able to come and to bathe herself. Rabbi Yosef holds nivul de chad yom aloshme nivul. A nivul of one day is not considered nivul. So therefore, since nivul of one day is not considered a nivul, right? Why? Because basically she could stop it. She doesn't take a shower she doesn't bathe herself for one day. It's not it's not a nivul. So he comes and he says, so therefore he comes and he says, En elu nidre inui nafsho. So it's not considered inui nafsho. Says Pe Amud Bet, 80b. Shenit, right? Now, Shanit, you just answered up imerchatz, right? That if I'm going to take a shower today, meaning she says, if I'm going to bathe myself again today, right? I keep on saying shower, but it's the same thing of bathing, right? If I'm going to bathe myself, imerchatz, so what's the case then? If you're going to tell me now, Damra, that she said, right, is that she's going to prohibit the rechitza leolam alai if she's not going to come and bathe today. Why do you have to do afara? She should take a bath today, and by taking a bath today, she's going to be permitted to take a bath every single day. Again, we're working out the exact opposite. Beforehand, we were talking about if she takes a bath today, she's permitted to bathe the rest of her life. So that obviously has a nefesh. But what about the other way around? If I don't take a bath today, I'm always prohibited. So take a bath today, and that's it. Take a bath today, and then you're always permitted. So Amar Rav Yehuda says of Yehuda Damra that she said, Hanat rechitza alay leolam im lo erchatz b'mem mishra. She comes, she says that she's never allowed to take a bath if she doesn't bathe herself in mem mishra. Mem mishra is waters of like flax when you soak them in, which is like very disgusting. So therefore, such a neder has inui nefesh, because if she doesn't take a bath in this stuff, she's prohibited forever, and therefore there's nivul and there's tzad. And if she does take a bath in this stuff, that in itself is already an inui. So it's like, both ways you've got like a disgusting thing that's going on. So says the Gemara, right? The exact same thing we learned by if she's not going to come and put on adornments. I mean, she's not going to put on jewelry or makeup or all those things. Right? Or she says that she's not going to adorn herself with petroleum. So that in itself is, so therefore he says, lichluchu, that's disgusting. You know what it is that you're gonna start putting yourself in petroleum. So Amar Rav Yehuda says, De'amra hanat rechitza leolam alai im erchatz hayom ushvua shelo erchatz. What happened was that she went and she made a isur hana'ah. If she's going to come and take a bath today, she'll never be able to take a bath. But then she went and she said, when she said, Im lo erchatz, if she's not going to take a bath, right? She's not going to bathe herself. She said, Shavua shelo erchatz, right? That means basically you could come and say that she made a Shavua not to take a bath. Or Hanat kishut alai leolam im kashet hayom, and Shavua shelo kashet. So basically what she did here is that the Maskanat Gemara is that Mishnah is talking about two different things of Yinui Nefesh, right? That the husband has to do a Farat Nedarim. A Neder of Yinui Nefesh that a woman comes and she makes with a Tnai that also has Yinui Nefesh, okay? That means, again, the Tnai that she made also was a Yinui Nefesh. So what's he going to do now? Whether she does it or doesn't do it, there's going to be Yinui Nefesh. If she takes a bath in petroleum or take a bath in Memishra, that's Yinui Nefesh. If she doesn't take a bath today, so then she's always prohibited in bathing herself, which is also Yinui Nefesh. It's also new. So you got Yinui Nefesh on both ways around. Or number two, a Shivua that has Yinui Nefesh without a Tanai. Okay? That was the second case. So now says the Gemara, Elmaleh Ravina Ravashi, says Ravina to Ravashi, Hi elu nedarim ushvuot mibai lelimit. And he says, 1 second. If you just told me that there was a neder, and then there's a Shivua, why didn't you write that? You had to write, these are the nedarim and the Shavuot. That's what you had to write down. So Elmaleh comes and he says, Tani, we learned in the Mishnah, Elu nedarim ushvuot. You're right. We had to add in the word ushvuot because we were talking about nedarim, that you could do afarat nedarim, and all of a sudden we added a Shavua. Because what was the case? We said, Hanat rechitza leolam alai. Remember when a person comes and he says, Kunam alai, or that something is prohibited, that's a neder. And then he said, Shavua shelo rechatz. Right? Or Shavua shelo kashet. So you had a neder and a Shavua together. You made a neder that if you do something, right, what's going to happen is in the future it's going to be prohibited to you. But then you made a Shavua not to do it. You come and you say, if I'm not going to take a bath today, I'm always going to be prohibited on a bath for the rest of my life. What's that? That's a neder. All of a sudden I come and say, Shavua, I'm not going to take a bath.
You say
Shavua.
The word is already.
So now it becomes a Shavua. It's not a neder anymore. So the Gemara asks, 1 second, according to what you just said, why did we say in the Mishnah only to do with Nedarim? You had to say Nedarim ushvuot. That's what you had to say. It's a neder and a Shavua. These are the Nedarim and Shavuot of the wife that the husband has to be a far. No, the husband could also be a fair Shavua.
Oh,
yes, you could do Ataran Nedarim also on a Shavua.
What is
no, but basically you should have just said, right, the concept though that it's a neder and Shavua. That's all the Gemara is asking. Because there's a difference between them, obviously. Remember, we said that usually, whenever we're talking about the Shavua and Neder, is it on the Gavra or the Cheftza? Right? On the person or on the action? There's a difference. Okay? So, says the Gemara, Elmaleh.
Again, the Shavua.
Says the Gemara, Elmaleh, says Ravashi, Tani, we learned, Elu Nedarim Shvuot, if you can answer, Shavuot nami hainu nedarim. A Shavua is also a neder. The Tinam, as we learned in the Mishnah, kenidrei reshaim nadar benaziru v'rekubanu v'shavua. When it says that a person made a neder to become a nazir, or that he prohibited upon himself a Shavua. So you see that since it says kenidrei reshaim, and it included the Shavua in the nedarim, so therefore when you say the lashon of neder, even though a Shavua and neder are intrinsically different, even though it has the same idea, but it's different, it's still considered a neder. Meaning, if we say a neder, nedarim, we call it hatarat nedarim. But do you realize that in hatarat nedarim, you have hatarat shvuot? It's already there. You understand? It's there. The only thing is, we call it why? Because a shavua is also called a neder. You understand? So therefore, since a neder it includes a shavua, so therefore it was written nedarim, even though it's true, it's a shavua as well. The Amru Rabbanan, and the rabbis say,
what did they bring?
What? There's the Gemara, and the rabbis come and they say, Rechitza. When we're talking about Rechitza, Itba inui nefesh ki lo rachza. He says, 1 second. Are we going to tell you now that the person has inui nefesh if they didn't take a bath? Or minu, we have a contradiction, right? When we're talking about now the mitzvah of inui on Kippur, afal pishasu bekulan, even though right now, On Kippur, we're not allowed to do the 5 things which are brought down. We're not allowed to eat. We're not allowed to drink. We're not allowed to bathe ourselves, to anoint ourselves, or to put on shoes or tashmish. Meaning, a person is only going to be chayav karet if they eat and drink and they do melacha. Meaning, even one more time, on Kippur, we're obligated to do inui. What are inui? The 5 inuim. We're not allowed to eat and drink, not allowed to bathe ourselves, to anoint ourselves, to put on shoes, and relations. Okay? Fine. Now what happens is that what happens when a person chas v'shalom came on Kippur and they did? What do? They bathe themselves. They bathe themselves. They took a shower. They don't get karet. Karet, that's what it says here. En anush karet, ela beochel v'shotev v'osem melacha. Meaning only if you're mechalel Kippur by eating, drinking, or doing melacha. On rechitza and tzicha, there's no karet. Yeah, or nilat sandal also.
Why?
Or even tashmish amita. Huh? That's what's brought down. Right? Now why? Because they learn it from the pasuk. The pasuk says, Ki chol hanefesh shelu tu'uneh v'nichrita me'amea. Now the karet melacha is a pasuk mefurash also in the next pasuk over there. So therefore, since it says over there that what? Now it says the Gemara. One second. So now it says the Gemara. Now if you're going to tell me if you do not take a bath that it's considered inui, one second. If you just told me that if you don't take a shower, it's an inui. So therefore, if you take a shower on Kippur, you should be chayav karet. Now we know that it's only chayav karet on these 3 things. Melacha and achila u'shtiyah. So why are you telling me now that if you don't take a shower, it's considered an inui? If you don't take a shower, it's considered an inui. So why are you not chayav karet on Kippur? On Kippur, the pasuk says, Ki chol hanefesh shelo tu'uneh, if you do not afflict yourself, you get karet. So if you're going to tell me now that if you took a shower, it's the opposite of afflicting themselves, right? Because now you did not afflict yourself, so if you should get karet. So Amar Rava says, no, it's a pasuk. Why? Let's listen. Minyana dekra. Let's look at the pasuk in itself. It says in the pasuk by Yom Kippurim, Gabe Yom Kippurim dichtiv, b'chodesh hashvi'i be'asor lechodesh. On the 7th month, on the 10th of the month. Remember, the 7th month of Nisan is Tishri. Okay, so now the 10th of the month, which is Kippur, te'anu et nafshotechem. You have to come and you have to afflict yourselves. Now the Torah says, minta diada inuya hashta. Something which is nikar, the inui, on Kippur in itself. What is that? Achila u'shtiyah. Right? When you come and you don't eat and drink, you immediately see the difference. Rechitza la yada inuya hashta. But to do with rechitza, you don't know it. Only after a few days. Meaning if a person doesn't take a shower for 1 day, you do not see the difference of the inui. You cannot tell. If a person doesn't shower for a day, you cannot tell, right? But if they don't take for a few days, that's when it all of a sudden, depends obviously also on the it could be that in climate, you understand? It could be that in Miami even after 2 days, you understand? But in cold countries, you understand, like France or other places. I remember people used to say, where do they invent the cologne and everything? In France, because they don't take showers and they just put on cologne. You understand? What does that mean? In cold places, it's not that you take a shower every single. Remember, when the Rambam comes and he says that they used to take a shower once a week, right? This was we're not talking about that the Rambam himself was considered a chazir or I don't know what, that he would I don't know what, chas shalom. The Rambam was a doctor, meaning he knew what was healthy, not healthy, and he abided by all the rules. In a sense, so therefore, obviously, it depends.
It had to do with the weather.
Not always, because remember, the Rambam and all these places, they were in Egypt, Morocco. You're going to tell me then it was cold. Saying it was also hot climate.
It's cold in this time, and
but even in the Rambam doesn't tell you that in the winter you take a shower once a week, and in the summer you take every day. You understand? Meaning the Rambam says this is what you're supposed to do once a week. You understand? And he doesn't make, obviously, if a person gets dirty, that's something different. But if not, there's the certain rules that they have, right? So therefore, obviously, here we're saying that to do with the inui of hashta, it has to be a inui of now. What's the inui of now? Eating and drinking, right? But the inui of rechitza, you don't see it right away.
But what do we put inui and melacha?
Pesukim. So one more time. That means anybody that does not afflict themselves on Kippur, which is pasuk kaftet in Perek of Gimel, right? They get karet. And the next pasuk says, "V'chol nefesh tatzasikom melacha." Any nefesh that does melacha, v'avati nefesh mikravama. They're also going to get karet. So therefore, karet has nothing to do with the inui. It's a separate. By the way, melacha is not one of the inuis, right? You have achilan shtiyar, rechitza sicha, nilat asmet, tashmish amita. you don't have milacha. Milacha is not an inui, right? If you don't work, it's an inui, or you do work, it's an inui, right? There's nothing to do with it.
So according to this,
So Amar Rava says, Minyana dekra legavi Yom Kippurim, dichtiv ta'anu enoshotechem, milta diada inui yadash, only something that you know the inui for right now. Lechitza, you don't know the inui right now. Legabe Nedarim ketichtiv, but to do with Tafara Nedarim, it's written, Kol neder v'chol shavuot yisa lanot nafesh, milta de'atya lidei inui, something which brings at the end towards an inui. V'chilorach sanav, she's not going to take a shower now, atya lidei inui, she will come, meaning like this. To do with Kippur, there was a special learning. Is now. Somebody that does not afflict themselves now on Kippur. So therefore, to do a shower, you don't realize that you're doing now. You only realize you only realize the outcome later on, not now, right? A person that doesn't eat, you realize it immediately. But to do with the showering, that's only after a day, 2 days, 3 days. It's not the same day you realize. You'll never realize it in the same day, okay? But now he comes and he says, but to do with the neder, a neder is something which is going to come to him. So if a woman comes and she makes a neder, she's not going to take a shower or a bath. If you know what, it's going to come to anyone. So there's a difference between Nedarim and Kippur. So says the Gemara, Verami de Rabbi Yosef. So we're going to ask a contradiction between Rabbi Yosef and Rabbi Yosef. What is the contradiction? Mayan. When we're talking about right now, a Mayan shel bnei ha'ir that belongs to the people of the city, and it goes into a different city now. Now there's not enough water for both of the cities. So what happens now? So if the Mayam belongs to the first city, right? Right? Their lives come before anyone else's life.
because they were the first
right?
one.
But it belongs to them also. It belongs to them. It belongs to them.
Before.
And therefore, let's say there's enough for the people, but there's not enough for the animals. So their animals comes before the animals of the second city. Their kvisa comes before the kvisa of the other city. But if you're only comparing the lives of the second city and their kvisa of the first city, it's interesting that we only did that to do with the kvisa and we didn't do it to do with the animals. Mm-hmm. Meaning, we only went and we said, if it's their lives, meaning lives of town A, lives of town B, town A comes first. If it's going to be the animals of town A, animals town B, animals of town A comes first. Clothing of town A, clothing of town B, clothing of town A comes first. But now all of a sudden the Gemara says, what about the kvisa of town A and the lives of town B? So the lives come first. Iowa, what about the animals of and the lives of town? We only went down to like the third one. We only went down to kvisa. Right? So he says, Rabbi Yosef Omer, kvisatan kodem l'chaya acherim. No. The kvisa, the clothing, comes before the lives of the other people. Why? Because when you don't wash your clothing, there's tsar gadol, and therefore it's considered chaye nefesh. So you see from here, right, that really be'emet, right, that it comes out that if you don't wash your clothing, that's considered inui. So says the Gemara, Hashta kvisa amar Rabbi Yosef shishva tsar. According to Rabbi Yosef, we just said now that if you don't wash your clothing, it's considered a tsar. Guf kulo pe'alef amud alef on the top. Guf kulo lo kol sheken. If you don't wash your entire body, isn't it kol sheken that is considered an inui? So therefore, here you have a stira. Rabbi Yosef told you that rechitza is not considered a davar shel inui. He told you even clothing is considered davar shel tsar. That if you don't wash your clothing, it's tsar. And now you're going to tell me if you don't wash your body, it's not considered an inui? That's the question. So the Gemara is going to answer, Amri in yes. Kvisa alima. Kvisa is more than taking a shower, according to Rabbi Yosef. Ta'amar Shmuel, but Shmuel says, Hai irbuvita yad reisha, the lichluch which is on the head of a human being, yad matya lidei avira, brings to blindness. Irbuvita demane matya lidei shiyamumata. The dirt on the clothing, right, because you don't wash the clothing, brings a person to become crazy. And the zuama, which is the sweat of the body, is going to cause avabuot, it's like boils, blisters. So therefore, the last one, we have a refuah, right? But shigaon, right, there's no refuah. So you see from here that not washing your clothing is worse They're not washing your body. That's what the Gemara says. That is the Shita of Rabbi Yosef. Meaning you wanted to come and ask me the fact that Rabbi Yosef says that the clothing of city A is stronger than the lives of city B. So that's a proof that it's Sar Gadol and there's Inui. So Kol Sheken taking a bath, why do we only talk about Kvisav clothing? So the answer is no, because Kvisav clothing is even stronger than the Chitzat Aguf. Okay, have a wonderful day.